This training is on employment law and onboarding procedures and how it applies to managers. The topics discussed in this presentation are crucial for all managers to perform their roles accurately. It is important that you understand these topics and how to react in each scenario. The following topics will be discussed: affirmative action, discrimination, ADA disability, FMLA, interviewing and selection process, new hire onboarding, disciplinary action, and harassment. We will begin by discussing affirmative action. Affirmative action is a management tool designed to ensure equal employment opportunity. Employers are not to discriminate employees or applicants in regard to race, color, religion, gender, or national origin. An affirmative action plan includes these policies, practices, and procedures that the contractor or employer implements to ensure that all qualified applicants and employees are receiving an equal opportunity as related to recruitment, selection, advancement, and every other term and privilege associated with employment. So when making personal decisions, managers are not required to hire or promote a person who lacks certain qualifications, but they must make the decision in a non-discriminatory manner and must not exclude personnel simply because of their race, color, religion, gender, sexual orientation, or national origin. Employers are required to implement a written affirmative action plan that includes policies, practices, and procedures to ensure that all qualified applicants and employees are receiving equal opportunities. A written plan includes a set of specific and results-oriented procedures to which an employer commits itself to apply. So examples include the development of outreach programs, recruitment purposes, mentoring, training, development opportunities, and hiring. It is the responsibility of each supervisor to ensure affirmative implementation of these policies in order to avoid any discrimination in employment. So all employees are expected to recognize these policies and cooperate with their implementation. Violation of these policies is a disciplinary offense. Furthermore, it is the responsibility of the supervisor to report instances in which they feel this has been violated. Make sure all complaints must be submitted to HR. Learning to accept and appreciate those who are different from the majority and value their contributions to the workplace is very important. So Apollo Bank has posted this document on SharePoint, and it will be revised annually. The next topic of discussion is discrimination. Discrimination is the result of denying opportunities to a certain group of identity because of their affiliation with a protected class, such as race and color, national origin, age, gender, sexual orientation, pregnancy, religion, and religious practices, and disability. Managers must be cognizant and must not discriminate at any point in the employment cycle. So this includes during the recruitment, interviewing, selection, hiring, promotion, and separation phase. Examples of discrimination include not granting someone who has earned a promotion simply because they are part of a protected class. Another example includes providing preferential treatment to one employee over another, such as flexible schedule based solely on their affiliation or lack of with a protected class. So this is not inclusive of all instances of discrimination. So as managers, it is important that all employees are treated fairly and impartially based solely on work performance and behavior in the workplace. The next topic is sexual harassment. Sexual harassment is unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and any other verbal or physical conduct of a sexual nature. The occurrence of sexual harassment in the workplace may explicitly or implicitly affect an individual's work performance and creates an intimidating, hostile, or offensive work environment. Sexual harassment can include a variety of different circumstances, and the harasser can be a man or a woman. The harasser can be the victim supervisor, a supervisor in another area, a coworker, or someone who is not an employee of the employer, such as a client or even a customer. The victim does not have to be of the opposite sex. Apollo Bank does not tolerate the occurrence of sexual harassment in the workplace. So any instances of sexual harassment must be reported to HR immediately. The next topic we will discuss is the Americans with Disabilities Act. The ADA prohibits employment discrimination against qualified individuals with disabilities. It requires that employers reasonably accommodate the known physical or mental limitations of an otherwise qualified individual with a disability who is an applicant or employee, unless doing so imposes an undue hardship on the operation of the employer's business. Examples of a reasonable accommodation may be making existing facilities used by employees readily accessible to and usable by persons with disabilities. Also, job restructuring or modifying work schedules, reassignment to a vacant position. Another example is acquiring or modifying equipment or devices, adjusting or modifying examinations, training materials or policies, and providing qualified readers or interpreters. HR will determine whether an accommodation will impose an undue hardship to the business. Therefore, please refer any questions or ADA-related matters to that division. If there was ever a situation in question where you as a manager felt that an employee needed any sort of accommodation, we ask that you please contact HR immediately. The next topic we will discuss is the Family Medical Leave Act, better known as FMLA. The Family and Medical Leave Act entitles employees to take up to 12 weeks of unpaid job-protected leave for specified family and medical reasons. Employees are eligible for unpaid leave under this policy if they have worked for the company for at least 12 months and have worked at least 1,250 hours over the 12 months preceding the leave, and are employed in a company and location which employs 50 or more workers within a 75-mile radius. So some reasons for leave include the birth of a child and care for the newborn child if the leave is taken and concluded within 12 months of the birth of the child. Another example is the placement of a child with the employee for adoption or foster care if the leave is taken and concluded within 12 months of the placement. Also, to care for an employee's spouse, child, or parent with a serious health condition. Another example is an employee's own serious health condition, which makes the employee unable to perform the functions of his or her job. So, in order to determine eligibility for leave, Apollo Bank will use a rolling 12-month period, measured backward from the start of the employee's leave period. So, anytime leave is requested, the company will determine how much leave the employee has taken during the immediately preceding 12 months. The employee will be entitled to the balance of the 12 weeks which has not been used. So medical certification will be required in order to guarantee the benefits of the leave. So Apollo Bank requires that all employees utilize paid time off benefits concurrently with the FMLA leave. So once paid time off benefits are exhausted, the remainder of the leave will be unpaid. So FMLA also allows for intermittent leave, which means that the 12-week period does not need to be taken consecutively. Under some circumstances, employees may take FMLA leave on an intermittent reduced schedule basis. So that means an employee may take leave in separate blocks of time or by reducing the time he or she works each day or week for a single qualifying reason. So for example, assuming an employee is medically ill and requires 5 hours off weekly in order to obtain treatment, those 5 hours will count towards their FMLA entitlement. So the employee may or may not have paid time off benefits to cover the leave, but their absence will be protected under provisions of the FMLA until the time is exhausted. So all FMLA matters are to be handled by HR. It is important that you understand the basics of the law, but by no means will you be expected to determine whether an absence or request for leave qualifies for FMLA. Refer all matters to HR for review. Additional details regarding this policy are also highlighted in the bank's HR handbook. Should you have any employee who asks about this or you suspect a need for someone to take a leave, please refer to the HR department. The next topic we'll discuss is the interview and selection process. Apollo Bank has a very precise and extensive interview process. So those involved in the process will receive further instruction from HR. However, it is definitely important that you understand the legal implications that can put the company at risk during the interview and selection process. So as managers, you may be involved in the interview process, and it's very important for managers to be aware of the questions they can and cannot ask during the interview process. It is prohibited that you ask a candidate about their national origin, citizenship, age, marital status, disabilities, arrest and conviction record, military discharges, or personal information. Below are some examples of the questions that may or may not be asked in the interview process. But if you have any questions in particular that you need clarification on, please contact the HR department. So managers cannot search for candidates on social media. All inquiries will be conducted by the HR department. So HR will post employment opportunities on social media such as Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. LinkedIn will be used to recruit candidates. So social media searches may be conducted after the candidate has interviewed with both HR and the prospective manager. In an attempt to not discriminate, selective searches are not acceptable. Same selection criteria should be applied when considering internal employees for promotions. So managers may not discriminate or ask personal questions with the intent of using such information to make a decision. The same procedure should be applied regardless if the individual is an internal or external candidate. The next topic of discussion is our new hire onboarding process. When a new hire starts in your department, it is very important to make sure the employee feels welcomed and is introduced to their team members. So making sure to review their duties and functions and directing them to the right person when they have questions is imperative to make sure everyone is on the same page. As a manager, it is also important to check in with the new hire to make sure everything is going well, especially in the first 90 days. Documenting TrackStar each month in order to report the status of their progress is also important in the first 90 days in order for the employee to know how they are doing in relation to reaching their goals. During the introductory period, which is the first 90 days, employees will be exposed to various in-person and online training sessions. So they will also be required to become acclimated with appropriate systems, including policies and procedures. It is important that you inform employees of the bank's policies and procedures, as well as the appropriate departments or individuals they may need to interact with. Onboarding is one of the most crucial times of an employee's employment cycle. HR will be surveying employees upon completion of the period to assess how the transition was handled. The next topic of discussion are disciplinary actions. This topic is extremely important for managers to understand. Proper documentation during this disciplinary action process is crucial in order to ensure protocol is being accurately followed and to prevent any possible legal implications. HR must be involved in all disciplinary matters, from verbal to written, all the way to separation. It is very important to include observations and interactions, both good and bad. Documenting every stage or interaction with the employee about performance matters and having examples of the reasoning for proposed terminations is crucial. Should you encounter an issue where you require assistance with a disciplinary concern, please reach out to HR. Sample forms and templates will be provided to assist during the documentation process, as well as ensure that the correct terminology is utilized, both in verbal and written scenarios. So this concludes the Employment Law Manager training. Please complete the final assessment in order to complete the course. We'll be posting more information on these topics for your review on our SharePoint page. Please don't hesitate to reach the HR department if you have any questions on these topics. Thank you.